Zhu joins us from IMF right here on ET Now. Thank you very much for being with us. IMF has just slashed its global growth forecast, and you've in some sense dampened the mood here. 3.4% is what you expect the global economy to grow at. Experts believe the growth could be a lot lower. I want to ask from you, what are the big challenges that you see to global growth?
Oh, the whole thing is, let me say two sides. The first issue is advanced economic growth is not strong enough.
Right.
American 2.5, 2.6 is not strong enough. Europe is back to 1.5, is not strong enough. And the emerging market is still on the weak side. Brazil have a negative 3.8% GDP recession last year. This year continued negative 3.5. Russia 3.7% negative growth last year, 1% negative this year. So emerging market is a cyclical adjustment process. So if you don't have strong growth in advanced economy, emerging market will remain weak. So the overall growth is moderate. Yeah.
I want to speak to you about emerging markets. Like you said, cyclical problems. Our exports are weak, and I'm talking about emerging markets as a basket. Exports are weak. Domestic growth is soft. Due to the strengthening of the dollar, there will be a lot of debt swaps that are going to suffer. What are the big pressure points, according to you, in the emerging markets?
Well, emerging market need looking for the key issue is the corporate debts. The corporate debts really increased roughly in the past 5 years, $1 trillion from roughly more than $1 trillion. Today it's a $3 trillion exposure now.
That's right.
Yeah, when dollar becomes stronger, obviously, and interest increase, you not only have to pay high interest rates, but also you have to pay more because dollar getting stronger. And because the growth is slower, your profit margin become narrower.
That's right.
So it's a big issue. I think it's very important for corporate sector to make sure they really proper manage their debt size. I think for the coming years, it's the key concern for the emerging market.
I mean, you understand China better than a lot of people here at Davos, and which is why I must ask you this question. There are two camps. One that believes that China is an economy in transition and eventually there will be a stronger yuan and Chinese economy will sail through. And there's another camp that believes, no, China's economy in mess and it's going to get even messier if the government tries to intervene too much, whether it's the yuan or even the economy. Which side of this entire spectrum are you on?
No, we're always on the true side.
Yeah.
Chinese economy went through its historical transformation, moving away from investments, export-driven growth model to the more like a service and a consumption growth model. It's a huge challenge. But we see the macro foundation remain sound. The growth is slowed down. Last year 6.9, this is 6.3 we forecast, and but the quality is improved because more balance. But it's a process will be bumping ways. It's not easy to manage this huge transformation, cutting capacities, support the service sectors and financial sector
become
reforms.
A consumption economy from an export-oriented economy. You are someone who obviously understands internals in China. There are bearish views out there that believe that China is actually growing at 5% and not more than that. Would you rubbish those, or would you say there is some amount of truth that lies in there?
No, we see China grow 6.3% this year. And we see there's a lot of concern the quality of a statistic, I guess you probably apply to. We see the national account has been improved dramatically and in line with international standards. So we think it's a solid 6.3%.
The one thing that's a talking point in Davos is the big debt that China has, about $25 trillion, which is about 240% debt to GDP. The question is that there are a lot of global banks that have a lot of exposure to China, and which is why the West is beginning to worry about what happens there.
No, in China also, the corporate sector debt is a concern. I think the central government debt is relatively slow, roughly 35%. It's way low. The local government debt is another around 38%, but they have a lot of assets because this is investments.
That's
it's
right.
not for the service, pension, or whatever things. So there's a lot of assets against the government debts. But the corporate debt is way high. So that's a reason the government is committed to do the SOE structural reforms to cut the capacity and reduce the debts. I think that's the key issue for China to move forward.
How do you see the future of yuan? I mean, there has been some depreciation. People expect another 5 to 10% depreciation coming. Do you expect more depreciation? And what is the future? Will yuan emerge as a stronger currency? Can it challenge the dollar dominance that the world is witnessing?
Well, yen in the process of internationalization, more and more countries use yen as a reserve currency, as a trade currency now, and also we just made a decision, including RMB or yen you mentioned, into the SDR basket. I think that bring yen into the official sector. I think that's the very important issues. But on exchange rate, the yen is moving into the managed floating exchange rate regime now. Understand this point is very important. That means yen is more or less is based on the market now. So when market move, the RMB exchange rates will move as well. That's a huge difference. Before, RMB is very much pegged into the dollar,
That's right.
always on the appreciating side. Now the RMB will move along with the market.
Right.
When market move, RMB will move. So clearly, they will have a volatility.
So two quick last questions. The first question, of course, has to be on commodity crash that the world is witnessing. Some amount of that is due to the China trigger, but some amount of it also has to do with the fact that crude oil is testing levels of $30 a barrel. In the emerging market, how do you see this pan out? I mean, India is a net importer of oil, so yes, we stand to gain, but look at what's happening with economies in Brazil and Russia.
Well, the oil price drop has both impact, negative and positive, for the exports and import as well. For the oil producer, I think the $30 oil is a really a big issue, because the fiscal balancing for the oil price for many countries need a 70, even to like $100 per barrel to balance the fiscal need. So for those countries, they have to do the fiscal consolidation, cut expenditures, manage the debts carefully, and particularly important to do the subsidy reform, energy subsidy reform, cutting the subsidy reform, doing the carbon taxations. I think those things to save money. I think it's absolutely important opportunities for those countries to take action now today.
Last question then before we let you go. The global risk aversion that we are seeing, and there is obviously a lot of risk as far as emerging markets as a basket are concerned. How long do you see that risk aversion stay?
I think the emerging market will take a few years to recover from the deleveraging for the corporate debts and bring more growth and pick that up. And the key issue is really on the corporate deleveraging side and on the structural reform on the growth side. If emerging market can move quickly on those two sides, they can pick up quickly. But you need to take action now, because emerging market overall still have a huge growth potential. We should not underestimate it that way. But you have to take action. You have to take a policy. Otherwise, if you wait, nothing will happen.
And that action has to be taken now. Appreciate you joining us right here on ET Now. That's Ming Zhu from IMF speaking here on ET Now, right here in the very, very biting cold of Davos.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.